Previously on my Payday 2 career, I give you a small introduction on how I got into the Payday series, and especially how a simple PlayStation Plus in the free Payday game that got me into the series. As well how the whole heist started at all, and how my time playing with Payday The Heist deal with some crazy challenges and very tough ones leading up to Payday 2. And now that we're finally at the actual start of Payday 2. So it's my time as your gracious host, YinYangDragon, and I'm welcoming to you all to my first episode of my Payday 2 career. Don't mind me guys, I was just marking the view from the old safe house. So yeah, this is where I started Payday 2 for me back in August 2013. Now before I boot up the game or start anything where else, they told me I had to go to the safe house. Usually I do tutorials, and I was like, yeah, why not? So I went ahead and the van dropped me off here as I go inside the door, and then as I explore around a few places to this must be the old safe house. I'm not really sure if this is the same one from Payday The Heist, but of course as it all started, I contact the phone and hear Bane talking, except he's not actually on the phone. So where he got his little microphone, I guess we all had a mic in our little earpiece. So he's our eyes and ears throughout the heist we do. So he told me to go in the back, go in the table, grab some nice my starting gear to start the heist. And of course pull on my mask and, well, start pulling off my heist and starting to give me the rundown basics. And of course out here the guy does throw the money back here, so you collect it. And of course on the PC version, the old safe house is completely gone. However, on console you still have it. And I think the only time you ever go back to the old safe house is if you're playing Safe House Nightmare. But before I get to it, let's actually, I'm still talking about on the PS3. And so I did a little rundown, basically grab the money and place it on the table here, right next to this little pink Eeyore. Grab a few bundles, put it on here for the beautiful statue Joker later, and then I go inside. Even more secrets what the safe house holds. As I look down, there's a few security footage and all that. Of course, to my left, it's all of the basic of how doors work. Even though he says closing doors is pointless, opening them what matters, but sometimes having a door closed is much more better. Going through the rundowns, how it works. And you can definitely see what type of doors that you can shoot, and also C4s that you can place. And of course, here's my offshore account, which sadly doesn't increase as much, but you can definitely see I made a lot of money. Quite a lot indeed. Few of my customization, although the rack is not really impressed, which they could have done way more. And then the weapons, of course, a little bit doesn't make sense the way I placed them, but you know, pretty, some look pretty weird, a little more cursed, but that's fine. Well, here's the actual firing range, but like I said, I do it on top of the sky because you can actually see the bullets. And of course, these targets don't reflect the same damage that you do on a Pacific weapon. So let's just get out of it. More safe for me just to open and, well, the whole blueprint and the whole heist itself. And of course, this is the blueprint of the bank heist. And you're thinking, is that the first heist I played on Payday 2? Sadly, no. It was a much more simpler heist, a more easy one for me for doing a snatch and grab style. So, in order to go for the heist,
let's nail this.
Let's enter CrimeNet. Well, this is CrimeNet. It's pretty interesting. Normally you have your little playlist or your UI go toggle between what heist you want to play, but this works a little bit more differently. You can of course play these heists for either free without costing any offshore, and the skulls do represent the difficulty, and the ghost is stealth, but we didn't have that much during the back then. We did have just the stars of a higher pay grade, and there were pro jobs, which the pro jobs are completely gone. So, the very first heist I pick, that I played for the first time ever, of course, is Jewelry Store. So let me just set up the contract.
This jewelry store has a number of display cases flaunting some medium-range gems and gold.
And I'll talk a bit more as I get into, well, the store itself. See you in a second. I'm just across the street of the Target building itself. And this is the jewelry store itself. Pretty small, compact, and pretty much in a urban environment. So, okay, as a true gentleman, I'll just take the walkway like this and make my way through. And of course, here we go. Precious Things. It's you know, very classical store. Then we see all the precious jewelries and a lot of new stuff that I never got to know. Of course, I kind of recognize the guards' color from Payday The Heist. So it was a little more interesting. Of course, they play a much bigger role in stealth, and that the stealth mechanics in Payday 2 are actually applied. They actually made stealth in the second game. I know in Payday The Heist there is a little bit of stealth in the Diamond Heist and Counterfeit, but you can only do so little before you go loud. And of course, by pretty nice jewelry, and the first time ever I featured or noticed of the loot bag mechanic. It was one of the coolest things that I like about it. And also, since these are loot bags you can sprint, I always love to carry one on my back and have my camera tilted a little bit to an angle and just run around with it like I was actually part of a film, like in the film Heat, where they do carry bags, duffel bags, and fight their way across the street. And of course I was facing just normal blue swabs, but it was tough for me because I didn't have much proper skills. I only had my starting kit, and well, I didn't. They gave me one skill point, so the skill point I went to was either, I think, ammo bag, because I always been an ammo bag type of guy than a doctor bag. And it was pretty tough for me. After all, even though I'd been experienced a lot with the FPS, Payday 2 is so roughly new to me, and well, truth be told, I never expect to have heavily RNG compared to its predecessor. So it is pretty interesting what they do. So, of course, when I first got started, the game was like, I saw the skill points, and of course, the old skill system. There was no perk decks, and there were tier bonuses, and there was only 4 set of skills: Mastermind, Enforcer, Technician, and Ghost. We did not have any Fugitive back then, and we did not have any health regen, as the only way to restore your health was using a doctor bag. But the doctor bag has more uses than just restoring your health. And of course, at the time, the Hoxton that we had on the PS3 still is basically Houston, just calling it Hoxton itself. Which a lot of people did not like, but I'll get to the other good stuff in the next episode. And as for, well, playing on the PS3 version, I noticed that Overkill put a lot more update and a bit of content to PC, but not on the consoles, and I've been thinking to myself, why are they ignoring it? Why do they favor the PC? But remember, this was almost at a time where the next gen of consoles were about to hit on the market, being the PS4 and Xbox One. And that was like, well, released around what, November or October, November 2013. So they probably couldn't keep up with the content or the update on the, well, the 7 generations of consoles, being that the PS3 and Xbox 360. And then we only had like about a few updates. The only DLC we had was that loot bag DLC, followed by free DLC packs, being the Armored Transport Heist, Gauge Weapon Pack 1 and 2, and that was included with the LMGs, along with a few melees, a grenade, and a returning enemy that was not present on the launch of Payday 2, being the Cloaker. And afterwards, we only had one new updated heist for free, which was Diamond Store. And afterwards, it was kinda, well, GG to last gen consoles from there. But during that time, they did announce themselves that the Overkill, not Overkill, Payday 2 will gotta be released on the PS4 and the Xbox One at some time, and this was announced back in June 2014. So about a year later, we have the Payday 2 Crime Wave Edition. But that story is for another day.